I am Niaz Mustafa from Rudaw Media Network, and we are very happy to have you here. I would
Oh,
like
thank you
to,
very much.
okay,
Thank you.
great. I would like to start my first question by saying, what made you to be a candidate for U.S. Congress in Republican Party?
Well, I've been a Republican since 1974, and basically, when in 1985 I first met a U.S. senator, United States senator, at my job as a chemist. I was working as a chemist, and basically I confronted him about some of his own corruption, and he tried to get me fired. So then 12 years later, we end up moving to Hawaii. I decided to run against him for US Senate. So I got involved in the primaries there, came in third out of ninth on the third out of nine candidates, and then basically annoyed Senator Daniel Inouye of Hawaii in 1998. And that was the beginning of my being a candidate. But I've been a chemistry professor all along. And so basically, I just grew up in a very political family. And so I see rats when I see them, and I notice them. And so it's a situation where basically, because the Republican Party was not actively taking them on at the time, I decided to do it. And so that got me involved way back in 1998. I then ran for US Senate again in 2000, and then the US Congress in New Hampshire, number two, in 2002, where I ran against the incumbent Republican because he really wasn't helping President Bush get his agenda through Congress. He was more voting with the Democrats. And then I retired from teaching chemistry after teaching. One of my experiences was teaching in Iraq at the American University in Iraq, Sulaimani. And so basically, I had many students there, of which you were one of them, perhaps,
Yeah,
or others in your group. And so it was a great blessing to be there for a year. But then I ended up teaching in South Texas, and Ahmed Ali, a friend of mine who I met there, took over the teaching. So basically, you folks got the benefit of both him teaching it, he taught the labs before, and me kind of helping him from afar. So it was a great blessing to be involved with teaching in chemistry in Iraq for longer than 1 year. But basically, I ended up teaching for 2 years in South Texas and then in North Carolina, and then I was finished. But before Iraq, I taught chemistry in Kazakhstan for 4 years, and
great.
so that's my background. But I've had political interests all along for wherever I've been. I paid attention. So yes, I paid attention to the political atmosphere in Iraq because I've been very supportive of the Kurds as well as other minorities, and the fact that Saddam Hussein was a communist, a Stalinist, and thought Stalin was his hero and treated the minorities that way. I was rooting for the Kurds and others who were badly mistreated by him. And I was very, very glad that the Bush administration got rid of him. And then I was thankful that the Trump administration coming in helped destroy ISIS, helped Peshmerga, as well as the Iraqi army, destroy ISIS in Mosul, as well as other places in northern Iraq. So it was a great blessing because my house was near Fayetteville, North Carolina, where the Army Special Forces are headquartered. So I became very familiar with what was going on in Erbil and other places in the Kurdish region when I was there. So basically,
Appreciate.
I applied for teaching at the American University in Iraq, Sulaimani, and got the position, which was initially a 3-year contract, but it worked out better that I was just there for 1 year.
I appreciate for this response, for this very detailed response, and I'm going to the second question. Based on your opinion and experience, what are the most necessities of people living in your state? In other words, what will you be trying for the most to achieve if you get elected as well?
Well, basically, my job will be to represent North Carolina, particularly the North Carolina Republican Party in the second district of New Hampshire. There are second district of North Carolina. I did New Hampshire back in 2002. So basically, the key thing for me is my job is to represent Republicans and to represent North Carolinians in general in the United States Congress. And so basically, it will be my job to go to Washington, help dismantle the federal government because it's too manipulative of the common people and basically get regulation back to the states and counties and cities where it belongs and away from the federal government, which should be much smaller. So that's my role.
Great.
Whereas also the other aspect is because of my many years of teaching experience, I hope to be involved in helping the educational policy of the Department of Education and others, as well as even education overseas when the U.S. government works with such organizations as the Iraqi Education Department and others through the American universities as well as others to kind of facilitate general chemistry education there as well. That's my expertise, because I think that the more people in general, world people, get educated and become critical thinkers, it'll drive away the crappy positions of the terrorists and others that want to take advantage of people that just want to trust their leadership when in reality their leadership might be corrupt.
Great, sir. Really appreciating your response. And I'm going to more politically related questions.
Sure.
My question is, how is your experience with Middle Eastern politics and situation?
Well, some of my students, as you're aware, many of your classmates were Kurdish from other areas of Iraq, even from Syria. And so I became very acquainted with, after talking with some of them became my friends who were other faculty and staff at the things. Ahmed Ali, uh, as well as Aso, uh, a good friend of mine. And basically, I just paid attention. And basically, what the Iraqi people want to do is have your own form of government that works for you. And I happen to agree with the things. I think there could be a United States of Iraq position where the Kurdish region has their own state, and the other regions that have more other tribal connections can have other states. There's no reason it can't work there with different representative bodies and organizing themselves and then joining in with the federal government on mutual interests. I think that is something that's workable because in the United States, there is multi-ethnic groups that all work together, and that's why we have 50 states. The 50 states are very different. North Carolina is very different from Virginia. North Carolina is definitely not Minnesota with all the corruption in Minnesota. And thankfully, we have a lot of Republicans in leadership in North Carolina, but unfortunately, we're stuck with Democrat governors, as well as Representative Ross in the second district. So it's my job as an educated person to try and get to retire these people. And so that's why I'm in this race running for Deborah Ross's congressional position.
Great, sir. How do you see Kurdish issue in Middle East? And what's
Well,
your comment about it?
one of my favorite books in the Bible is the book of Jonah. And the Kurdish people, as well as many others, the Chaldeans, others in the region, really appreciate the prophet Jonah and the role he played in helping the people there have peace for a time and basically repent before God and then become right with them. And so God spared them. So it's a situation where, in some respects, the region is dear to my heart. But I also have a responsibility to realize that in some respects, the United States and the Allies played an important role in getting rid of Saddam Hussein, which essentially provided a way to essentially end the support he had for terrorists, as well as supporting the PLO and suicide bombers in Israel, as well as other places. And it's a situation where I think in some respects, because there are a lot of Iraqi Americans, there are a lot of Kurdish Americans, and there are a lot of Turkish Americans as well. So I think because there are Americans here who historically migrated over to the United States, it's our job to help the homelands of people that our people came from, whether it be in the Middle East or whether it be Europe or other places. And that's why we're concerned. However, we don't like being involved in civil wars. And so it's a situation where that's what President Trump is trying to do, is end the stupid civil wars and get peace in general so that basically people can work together and sell goods to one another and have good prosperity in their lives,
Great, sir.
jobs, etc.
Great. My next question will be, even though I didn't send this question, but my next question will be, like, did teaching at AUIS or in Kurdistan as well help you to know more about minorities in Kurdistan, in Iraq, in Syria, or in the region as well?
Yes, because I had students that were from Jafar, from Baghdad, from other places. As you know, American University in Iraq, Sulaimani, has students come there from all over Iraq, as well as from Syria, refugees and such like that. So it's a situation where at the American University, it's my job to teach you chemistry with the American curriculum, and the engineering department used the British one, which is fine, but the engineers don't get enough chemistry, but that's my pet peeve. But the point is, again, it's a situation where I think we as Americans have a responsibility to help people from other countries, because that's the nature of our country. Is it's a true melting pot. I also had the pleasure of teaching 4 years in Kazakhstan, and that is also a melting pot with all sorts of minorities sent there by Joseph Stalin, exiling them into Siberia and Kazakhstan in general with gulags and everything else. But the people that were forced to go there made the best for them, and they are at relative peace with the Russians at the northern border. And there's a distinct reason for that, because basically they decided they would rather work together and not be an enemy of Russia, uh, and truly be free, just like Iraq is truly free now from Saddam Hussein. Uh, the USSR is gone, and so the Kazakhs are free from Joseph Stalin and Lenin and all their leadership. So it's the kind of thing where now I think the best thing we could do is try to go forward. And yes, I believe essentially if good people in the Kurds and others decide to get rid of the corrupt people within your midst who are communists or other things that want to get you all to fight each other, I think that would be great too. But I represent my own views. I do not represent the position of the US government.
I see.
So it's a situation where that's my view
I,
of living, eating and working there. And you also have great food. So
Great, sir. My next question will be, based on your idea, opinion, and experience, what could be the best possible thing or action that the current US government could be doing to help Kurds in the region?
well, I think President Trump has shown by his background and what he did in his first term, as well as what he's doing now, he's being very, very supportive of the Kurdish people, particularly the peace, the ones that want to have peace and work together, and even have trade with Turkey, Israel, and if possible in the future, Iran. But it's a situation where, again, it's like you folks in the Kurdish region have a particular responsibility because of the wealth of oil that it brings you to use that properly to foment peace in the area and prosecute the criminals amongst you who want to kill people or hide behind innocent people. And
Great.
one of the things that was cool for me was that I was told by a whole bunch of people that a favorite American movie you had was American Sniper, and there was specific reasons for that, because essentially that was the role of the U.S. and the Allies in essentially helping deal with the terrorists, with essentially protecting the innocent civilians from the monsters that scared them.
Sir,
So,
uh, my next question will be about the future. If you win, I think you would like to become a member of Foreign Relations Committee, something like this, right?
yes, I'd like to be part of the U.S. House of Representatives Foreign Relations Committee
Yeah.
and play a role in helping the members of the committee and the Republican Party in general understand the nature of education, particularly science education and other parts of the world, so that we can all work together to promote critical thinking. That means calling out science that is not science, but pathological lying, and essentially bringing back to the scientific method. And if someone claims that something is scientifically true, they have to provide real evidence of it, of a causal relationship. So I think I could play a role in helping that as a retired chemistry professor who taught in Micronesia, who taught in Hawaii, who taught in Kazakhstan, who taught in Iraq, and as well as in the US. It's like I got a big understanding of that. So basically, you need to understand that the House of Representatives, I'd be one of 435 people. And so I have responsibility to essentially work together with other Republicans and Democrats that might want to help. But right now, the Democrats think that all the Republicans are evil.
Great.
And they're even very, very nasty about it. And that's the communist thing of calling their political enemies names. And so Republicans just want to govern properly so that the people can trust them.
Great, sir. My next question will be, if, for example, there was a bill to vote on in US Congress, and it's about supporting Kurdish or other minorities in Iraq or in the region, Syria maybe as well, do you think you will be voting for that?
Well, basically, my job as a representative is to represent the people of North Carolina in the U.S. House and appreciate the fact that there's a Republican president and promote the Republican president's positions going forward on an international basis, because it's the responsibility of President Trump, Marco Rubio, and his State Department to essentially promote foreign policy. And that's not my role, and it's not a congressman's role either, despite those Republicans that pretend to be experts on foreign policy when it's not their job. They weren't elected president. President Trump was.
I see. Sir, my next question will be, are you aware of the situation that has happened to Kurdish neighborhoods in Aleppo?
Yes, I'm also aware of the fact that the Obama administration supported the building, the taking over by ISIS of whole regions of northern Iraq as well as Syria. And unfortunately, there are still a lot of terrorists embedded in all these different places that hide behind innocent civilians. And I'm also became aware when I was in Iraq that there are like 4 major tribes of the Kurdish people, and one of them has historic ties to the old Soviet Union and even Maoist China, and are communists and have been trying to pick fights with Turkey and other people around because they want their way, just like the Democrat Party in the US wants their way or no way.
Great.
And so it's a situation where the communist agenda, and I'm talking about atheistic ones that do not like Islam, they do not like Christianity, they do not like Judaism, they want to destroy everybody and even have us people fight amongst ourselves. It's a situation where we have a responsibility to try and protect the innocent people wherever they are. And unfortunately, some Kurds hide behind civilians and they're kind of stuck, but also there are other terrorists that hide behind you. And all I can say is, I believe the Trump administration will assist in ways of things, but we can't do what the Peshmerga and other Kurdish people can do regarding getting rid of the enemies within themselves.
Great.
For example, what happened in Minnesota? A woman was trying to run over a policeman. The policeman shot her. Well, the thing is, that goes on to much greater part in Aleppo and other places. And historically, Aleppo is very close to the old New Testament city of Antioch. And so basically, it's a situation where the whole region has been people fighting each other for thousands of years. And I think in some respects that us educated people who can think critically and discern between evil people and good people can essentially play a role in assisting getting rid of those terrorists who want to hide underneath schools, mosques, everything else, and essentially hurt innocent people. And unfortunately, that's something the Americans can't do. That's something that only the Kurdish people can do, as well as to deal with the real enemies among you. And as far as I know, the Trump administration wants to help the right people.
Sir,
So
that's
my belief.
I see. In 1 minute, what do you think could be the best for U.S. government to do to prevent any event like what happened in Aleppo to be repeated or happen again? In less than 1 minute, please.
Well, I do not believe it's the U.S. government's role to kind of end the fighting within a local area like that. I believe that we can assist the non-corrupt people deal with the problem, but basically it is make America great again. We have responsibilities as a country to deal with our thing, as does Syria have a responsibility to deal with enemies among them, as do the people of Iraq have a responsibility to deal with those terrorists within your own country realm, so that basically you don't require allies from outside to come in and take over.
Great.
And if you read the Old Testament, you'll see what battles are going on with the Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, the Amalekites, the Syrians, all these people fighting each other. You know, the different kingdoms coming up, and it's a situation where only the local people can decide to end the battles.
Great, sir.
So that's my hope and
Great,
prayer.
great. Thanks a lot, sir, for answering our questions. And hopefully, and I am wishing for you to be the Congress member in the next election as well.
Well, I hope so too, but all I can say is the Republicans in the 2nd District and North Carolina have to join together and say enough of this woman who wants men and women sports and basically wants to kill unborn babies for birth control purposes and such like that. And what I learned when I was teaching at the American University in Iraq, that basically chastity is very important to Iraqis, and in some respects where the Democrats promote promiscuity and then killing of innocent children in response, it's nothing different from the prophets of Baal and Moloch in the Middle East, essentially sacrifice babies to their gods.
Thanks a lot,
And
sir.
that's what's tragic.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot, sir. Appreciating your time, and have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a
Nice
lot,
to
sir.
meet you
Have a
all,
nice
and
day.
I loved living in Iraq.
Thanks a lot, and hopefully we will meet you again.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice
great
day, sir. Have a nice day.
Bye.
That's
Bye.
thanks.